Today on an all-new Dr. Phil, a love triangle.
My wife cheated on me with my best friend.
I'm being blamed for destroying a marriage and a family.
An angry daughter.
I'm giving you an excuse to cheat on him with his best friend.
Our marriage was long over, way before that.
Then end it. Get a divorce and end it.
A critical decision.
You told the children that I have to choose between my partner or my kids.
So you're the victim here.
Yes.
You're out in the Winnebago with your boyfriend and your daughter's watching it rocking. How does that make you a victim?
All of us hate Craig. Hate his guts.
Well, this ain't the Brady Bunch. Let's do it.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
This is a safe place to talk about hard things.
Stand by. We'll count you down.
Today's going to be a changing day in your life.
5, 4.
I am not giving up on you. All right, take a listen to this. It's 17-year-old Maya.
It's always changing with you. Everything was gone.
Shut the up! I hate you!
Well, her divorced parents don't agree on much, but one thing they can come together about is in the past 5 years, their once sweet and kind daughter has become an angry, raging, pot-smoking, school-skipping teen who is spiraling out of control. Now, Reagan says what we just heard was a mere glimpse of Maya's violent and angry outburst, which include calling her mom a bitch, a slut, throwing furniture, breaking windows, and punching holes in the walls. Now, her parents say things are so bad that the police have been called on their daughter over 20 times. Take a look.
My 17-year-old daughter, Maya, has lost all regard for all authority.
We've had the police called many times because Maya and her mother fight.
That's not why. That is why, you idiot!
She has become violent towards me, my boyfriend Craig, and trashes our house. My daughter gets up in my face and screams.
You can't tell me how I feel!
She has punched holes in my walls, shattered our phones, she's shattered mirrors, thrown stools.
Shut the up!
I've asked Maya to go live with her dad, Steve.
Maya is now living with me and stays out all night. She has started using drugs and she has started stealing from her siblings. She has stolen her sister's iPad and stolen over $300 from her siblings. If anything goes missing, the assumption is Maya took it.
Just last week, Maya was following me around the house, calling me a bitch and a whore and berating me in front of my client. Next thing I know, scissors go flying at me and landed in the wall. Maya completely trashed my kitchen that day, coffee and compost everywhere.
She also was caught shoplifting from a grocery store in town.
It's gotten so bad that last month I had to start barricading my bedroom door with a piece of wood. I'm honestly terrified that she'll come into my room and do something to me while I'm asleep.
But there is a whole lot more to this story. Now, according to Steve, Maya's downward spiral didn't just come out of the blue. It all started 5 years ago when Reagan was caught having an affair with Steve's best friend of 20 years, Uncle Craig. Take a look.
5.5 years ago, my wife cheated on me with Craig, my best friend of over 22 years.
And Maya discovered all of it.
You chose some scumbag.
I told her it was gonna stop, and it never did.
How do you not see that as being up?
I was devastated. I couldn't believe Reagan would do that with Craig of all people.
Craig stepped in to help while Steve was having his drug problems. In August of 2012, he had a drug-induced seizure in front of our children. It was terrifying. He got out of the hospital, went right back to doing drugs, and that was the end for me. Craig started helping out around the house and spent time with my children, and our relationship just kind of grew from there. Steve just wants to make us look bad, so he doesn't feel bad that he's never been there.
A year after we separated, in summer 2013, she even moved Craig into the house. Everything went downhill.
Maya had issues with it. I did not think it was as serious as it is now. I don't know if Maya and I have a relationship anymore. I love her to pieces. She swears up and down that I hate her because I chose Craig.
Reagan has made herself into the victim of this situation. Anytime the kids tell her she's choosing Craig over them, she says, "Don't I deserve to be happy?"
I don't like having to choose between my kids and my partner. I'm getting the short end of the stick in this.
So you're the victim here. You're getting the short end of the stick.
Yes.
But she's the one that discovered you're having an affair with your best friend,
Correct. Yes.
right?
Yes.
Okay. How does that make you the victim?
That doesn't make me the victim in that sense.
She caught her mother having an affair with Uncle Craig, her dad's best friend.
Correct.
I'm saying, how does that make you a victim?
It doesn't.
And then you said, okay, this will stop. I'm sorry,
And I was
bad
wrong.
bad choice on my part. We're all human, made a mistake. This will stop. And then you said it didn't. How does that make you a victim?
It doesn't.
Then she has to go tell her dad, so she feels guilty about breaking his heart because you didn't tell him, she told him.
Correct. Yes.
So how does that make you the victim?
It doesn't in that regard at all.
And you say she's become violent towards you and your boyfriend.
Yes.
Wonder why.
Well,
My wife feels
no.
guilty because she thinks that she's part of the reason that we separated as well, because she told me about it. Because when she told me about it, she said, "Please, Daddy, don't separate."
Well,
don't
what's
leave
your
Mom."
role in all of this?
I take responsibility for everything I've done wrong
Which
in our
is?
marriage.
Like what?
Lots of things. I've been a drug addict our whole marriage.
Yeah.
I was an absent father. I was an absent.
still have been
I was
an
an
absent
absent
father.
husband.
You're a drug addict.
Correct. I have been since I was 16. my whole
Even
life.
now, you're a drug
Even
addict.
right now, today.
You smoke dope, take prescription pills.
That's correct.
Do you allow her to do the same?
Who, Maya?
Yeah.
So the last few weeks, I've allowed her to, since she moved in with me, since Reagan kicked her out, I've allowed her to.
Kate,
smoke. I mean,
that's
she's
not
going to
true.
do it whether I allow her to or not. So it's not. I'm not there when she's doing it. I'm not present while she's doing it. I'm not doing it with her. But I didn't say that she couldn't do it. So
Did you buy her a marijuana pipe?
like, I didn't buy her one. No.
Did you give her one?
I did. I had an extra one laying around that I did give her. Yeah. I did. Sorry. Yeah. I did. I admit I enabled her. Absolutely, I've enabled her.
So how old is she?
She's 17.
And you gave her a marijuana pipe? You
Yes.
bought one and gave it to her?
I didn't buy it for her. It was mine, and I didn't
But you
need it
bought it.
anymore.
It's one you
Yeah,
bought.
I gave it to her. Yeah, I bought it.
Yeah, and you gave
Absolutely,
it to her.
I did. Yeah. And that, I know that's wrong.
But you want to be their friend. You got to be their parent.
Well, I don't. I mean, I'm not the best parent. That's kind
Exactly.
of my
You're
go-to
not the
thing.
best parent.
Is to try to be their friend. I don't know. You know.
I'm not being her friend.
Well, I
Well,
feel like
pot,
I need to,
meat, kettle.
I know.
Are you kidding
Yeah.
me? You've got to be your parent.
Like, someone needs
so
to
you're
stick
out
up.
rocking in the Winnebago. She's telling us she's watching you go into Winnebago with your boyfriend while you're married to her dad, and she's watching it rocking.
That didn't start her spiral, though. I totally agree that was wrong.
But
yes,
you're
I made a
lecturing
mistake.
him about being a responsible parent.
I owned up to my mistake. I made the mistake.
Really? You came out here telling me you're the victim.
No, for her.
We haven't got to the part where you're the victim yet, but you're telling me you're the victim.
Okay.
And you're lecturing him about being a responsible parent.
Well, I'm not lecturing him.
No,
I
you were-
just, well, I.
So you're a drug addict.
Yes.
What are you doing about that? Other than modeling it for your daughter and enabling her to join you.
exactly. Other than
Have
that,
you smoked dope with her?
No, absolutely not. I do it in their presence. I mean, I did it the whole time. Well, I did it the whole time they were growing up, as they're babies and that. And it gets to a certain point where you just can't hide it anymore, and you know you're so addicted to it, and it's just such a integral part of your life. I mean, it was the most important thing in my life. That's why I was.
It still is,
so
right?
It still is, absolutely.
Based on results, you put your drugs ahead of your daughter's mental health and well-being. And based on results, you
Technically,
put
yes.
your
I did.
relationship with Uncle Craig
In front of
ahead
her
of your
well-being.
daughter's mental health and well-being.
I did.
Sorry.
And you're using the police to parent her. They're surrogate parents. You've called them, what, 25 times?
Not to parent her, no, because I've called Child Protection Service.
Give me a break. They're investigating you as we speak. It's still
For
open
what?
case for assaulting Maya.
I've never assaulted
For
Maya.
putting your hands around her throat and then strong-arming her to the ground.
No.
Just before
Oh,
summertime,
no.
and she
No.
didn't press charges
No.
on you.
No.
It's still an open
No.
case.
No, it's not an open
next,
case.
Maya admits to doing drugs, breaking windows, punching holes in the walls, and smashing Craig's cell phone with an axe. We're going to meet Maya when we come back, and we're going to find out what she says about these folks. I'm looking for victims and perpetrators here to try to find out who's running what red lights. We'll be right back.
When I was 12, I busted my mom making out with my dad's best friend, and he betrayed him and all of us. He f***ed us all over and broke up our family. I hate Craig and tell him all the time. He's a parasite. I tell him he wrecked our family, and he doesn't even care. I will not rest until Craig is out of our house.
And later,
Instead of helping me as my best friend the whole time you're sleeping with my wife,
Our marriage was long over, way before that.
Get a divorce and end it. Doesn't mean you have the right of way to sleep with his friend in his house, in front of his kids.
Tomorrow.
My twin sister was supposed to be my maid of honor. I'm a heroin addict.
so she's going to have to be shooting up before you get married.
A bride-to-be torn between her fiancé. It's either me or your sister.
I just can't seem to let go.
And her twin.
There's no way she would ever say I couldn't be there.
If I showed up at your wedding drunk, I would not expect to be admitted. Why should she?
Then on Friday.
You got 2 DUIs? How many cars have you crashed?
3.
My daughter, all she does is drink.
Do you want to know why? I drink because of you.
That's Friday.
Maya's issues with school started last year.
Maya could have graduated early because she's that smart, but she's been kicked out of school. I was informed that out of the 15 days of school, she's missed 11.
I drop her off at school every day, but sometimes I get calls that she's at the mall.
She's throwing her life away.
The only thing exes Reagan and Steve agree on is their daughter Maya is out of control. Y'all do agree with that, right?
Absolutely,
yes.
she needs help.
Okay.
Yes.
Steve says her bad behavior started when his wife began having an affair with Steve's best friend, Craig. Maya says not only did she catch her mother and Uncle Craig in the act, she later had to break her father's heart by revealing her mother's betrayal. Take a look.
I want to expose my mom and her boyfriend Craig because not enough people know the truth. My mom needs to get her head her ass. Craig was my dad's best friend for years, and he betrayed him and all of us. He us all over and broke up our family. When I was 12, I busted my mom making out with my dad's best friend. We call him Uncle Craig. A few weeks later, I saw the both of them go into our RV. Heard noises and our RV was moving. I could tell they were fooling around there. I eventually told my dad. The past few years have been really bad. I just want Craig out of our home. I'm living with my dad now because my mom kicked me out of my house. But I still keep going back almost every day, confronting her on how she chose Craig over all 4 of her children. I've broken mirrors, kicked holes in the wall, smashed Craig's phone with an axe, and smashed my mom's phone and poked holes in Craig's art. The police have been called multiple times, and I've been arrested and hospitalized. In the spring of 2017, I started smoking weed pretty heavily, and I started skipping school pretty often. I've been in alternative school since September. I've probably gone to school 4 hours this year. Throughout all this, Craig tries to be this father figure. He even tells people we're his kids. The words that best describe how I feel about Craig are horrible, betrayed, and evil. I hate Craig and tell him all the time. He's a parasite. I tell him he wrecked our family, and he doesn't even care. He talks bad about my dad, calls him fat, says he's a loser and a drug addict. He stole his wife and took over his house. It's like my dad got ripped out of the picture, and Craig just took over his whole life. I will not rest until Craig is out of our house.
Hello, Maya.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm grand. How are you?
Okay, you've been listening so far, right?
Yeah.
To what's been going on.
Yeah.
What do you have to add, change, say, challenge, clarify, anything about what's been said so far?
Well, she's a liar, first of all.
About what?
Everything. She just acts like I'm crazy. She tells me that my feelings aren't real or valid when I tell her something.
So you say you feel like she has chosen Craig over you.
She 100% has, over all of my siblings and I. My brother hasn't talked to her for months because she chose him over my own brother.
Right.
But why?
Your dad has been...
Why? Why
Because you told the children that I have to choose between my partner or my kids.
That's a lie and a half right there.
Since when?
You know it is.
How is it fair that you give me an alternative for my partner and my kids?
No, that's a lie and a half.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is. All of us hate Craig, hate his guts. We've hated him since day one. And you don't listen to us. You act like our feelings aren't real.
To you.
No, you don't.
Why are you doing the things you're doing? Because you're going over to the house every day. You say you don't want to be there because she's chosen him over you, but yet you go over there every day just to wreak havoc, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you go over there for that purpose. It isn't that you go over there and then it melts down. You go over there to raise hell.
I'm just trying to get her to realize things and own up to stuff. And it turns into fighting.
Well, when you go over there and then you leave, here's the aftermath. We gathered some pictures of the aftermath.
Yes.
Of these outbursts. This is where you're knocking stuff over, you're kicking holes in walls. And then we have scissors that you threw at your mother.
Okay.
And these stuck in the wall, right?
Okay, I'm gonna stop you right there.
Okay.
I didn't throw them at you.
I'm behind that wall.
I wasn't throwing them at you. Do you think I'm like a warrior or something? I can't throw that well. I just threw them. I was mad. I just throw stuff when I'm mad.
And then what did you throw
Do
right
you want
after
to stab your mother?
No.
Okay, I mean, that's my point. You know, because what you're doing is what I refer to as outrageous overshadowing. It's when one person's behavior is so outrageous that it overshadows the behavior of another. Now, here's the problem with that. You behave in such an outrageous way that it lets other people get a free pass. Because you make so much noise, you behave so outrageously that everybody looks at you and don't look at what it is you're reacting to. Like, did you cut up all of his clothes?
Yeah, I dumped protein shake on them before, and then he cleaned them. And so I saw him in the laundry room, and I just had, I saw a screw, and I just went...
So you did it with a screw or the scissors?
A screw. And scissors, too, after. But
okay, well, we need to get the scissors out of this thing. But, okay, but you know, when you do that, it puts the focus on you and takes the focus off of their behavior, which is not in your best interest. You want to focus on their behavior, not off their behavior. How did you discover this affair?
Uncle Craig, like, he'd always come over and whatnot and hang out at night, and I saw them making out, and I was like, and they kept doing that, and then eventually, like, they would go to our little RV or tent trailer we had in our carport. So I thought they were doing drugs at first, and then, yeah, they were not doing drugs. They were doing a little something else. And so, yeah, I told her to stop, and she said she would, and then she didn't, and so I told my dad. She shouldn't have even done it, ever. She shouldn't still be doing it. Like, he was sleeping, like, at home.
Because that's what he always did.
Okay, yeah, but it doesn't give you an excuse to cheat on him with his best friend.
Our marriage was long over, way before that. We did separate for a while.
Thank you. Well, Steve says that his former best friend stole his wife and his life. We'll meet the man everyone used to call Uncle Craig after the break.
I am public enemy #1. Maya is not able to take responsibility for her actions. All my clothes are cut up, my shoes, my underwear, my shirts. Maya even took it upon herself to cut me out of the family pictures in the home. I don't feel responsible for the breakup of Reagan and Steve's marriage.
And later, Reagan says her daughter attempted suicide to hurt her.
That's messed up.
When Maya was in the hospital, you said you couldn't go.
I was at work.
My mission is to get Craig out of the family home. So I recently took Craig's clothes out of the closet and poured a protein shake all over them. Then I took a pair of scissors and cut Craig's clothes up. I even busted his glasses. I want to do something to make his life hell and get him out of that house. My mom thinks my dad is making me hate Craig, but that's not true. I realized on my own how much of a piece of he is for trying to destroy our family.
Well, Craig says it is not his fault that he had an affair, fell in love, and then moved in with his best friend's wife. He says his relationship with Reagan flourished after he was forced to step in because Steve chose drugs over being husband and father. Take a look.
I'm being blamed for destroying a marriage and a family. I am public enemy number 1. I don't feel responsible for the breakup of Reagan and Steve's marriage. Steve is always full of excuses, and he's teaching his children that. He truly wants me and Reagan to break up, but we flourish, and that makes him upset. Maya is not able to take responsibility for her actions, so she's putting it all on me. Everything that has been happening in her life is Craig's fault. If she can't find her phone, she'll curse me up and down and tell me it's my fault. On her 17th birthday, she didn't get a car like her sister. She went ballistic. The next thing I know, my phone is missing. We look around for Maya, and she comes walking in the house with an axe. Then after searching for my phone, we found it smashed and destroyed in the backyard. Another day I came home, all my clothes were tossed on the floor with a protein shake poured all over them. A few days later, all my clothes were cut up, my shoes, my underwear, my shirts. She even busted many pairs of my glasses. Maya even took it upon herself to cut me out of the family pictures in the home. Maya needs to come to terms with what's happened in her life. She needs to realize that her mom's relationship with me didn't destroy her life. It's the choices she's making that has messed her life up. If Dr. Phil tells me that my being in the home is not in the best interest for the kids, then I have to leave. I don't think that's the case.
Okay, Craig, you've been listening as well, right?
Yes.
And so let me give you the floor. Is there anything that's been said that you feel like you need to correct, clarify, straighten up?
Breaking up the family, she tried to have Steve out of the house. She tried to separate from him. It was over. He was always sleeping, always stoned, always high, always around the kids. And it killed me. I love these kids with all my heart. I was there the entire life. And to watch them everybody just dying inside with their dad just doing nothing.
So you two were best friends, right?
Instead of helping me as my best friend, you decided that you'd cheat on me over the summertime? The whole time you're sleeping with my wife?
5, 6 years, I was. As you constantly bring you out, trying to do stuff.
Over 20 years, man. You lived off of me. You lived with me. You lived off of me financially. And then you move in on my family the second you get the opportunity.
He didn't break up our marriage. You did. You chose not to grow up. You chose drugs.
Not to grow up. You're the one that cheated on him. That's pretty immature.
I did a lot of wrong things in our marriage. I was absent. I did a lot of bad things in our marriage. But, I mean, you can't admit to anything.
After he pretended to commit suicide, her father dies in her arms while she's holding him. Her birthday's shortly after, and he commits suicide, pretends to commit suicide. He told me it wasn't real.
He even told the psych doctors that he didn't mean to take all the pills.
And he felt bad for it and just, it killed me.
First off, in case I get hit by lightning before I get this said, your behavior is inappropriate, it's outrageous, it's unproductive, it's unbecoming, and you absolutely should not be doing what you're doing. And I understand the motive. I even agree with your frustration and your motive. I get it 100%. 100%. I don't ask myself why you're doing what you're doing. I ask myself, why not? Why would you not be doing what you're doing? I just want to give you some other ways to express it. Okay? Do you badmouth their father?
I have, and she points it out to me, and that I try not to.
You call him a loser and a drug addict?
I have.
He has in the past, yes, and I stop it.
To his own children?
No, not
directly. Yes, you have.
I try not
to. You try not to, but you have.
I may have done in the past, but you get frustrated, very frustrated, especially watching her cry and stuff like this, and always he's always badgering on her.
How do you feel when you hear him say negative things about your father?
I want to punch him in the face when he says that.
All right, Reagan says that Maya will do anything to upset her and make her feel guilty for choosing Craig over her family, including a suicide attempt that Reagan says was for attention, a cry for help. Was it? And if so, what would be the appropriate response to a cry for help for your child? And is that what happened? Well, let's talk about that after the break, and then I'm going to start unpacking some of this. We'll be right back.
I had my first suicide attempt in 2015 when I was only in 8th grade.
I honestly think she did it for attention.
After my dad's suicide attempt, I found a book of his suicide notes. I hope the kids realize that you two are the main reason I'm no longer here. I wanted to punch Craig in the face right then and there. When my mom and I fight, I break things, scream in her face, kick holes in the wall, and they constantly call the cops. On October 2017, we got in a huge argument. I broke her phone, and I also broke her glass door. Craig called the police that night, and I was arrested. I went crazy, banging every door and window, just screaming. They put me in a room in a psych ward with no windows. About 2 weeks ago, I got in another fight with my mom and Craig, and I took a bar stool and threw it down the stairs. Threw a glass at Craig, and it barely hit him. I was arrested for mischief and held in jail for 6 hours.
5 years ago, Reagan cheated on her husband, Steve, with fun Uncle Craig, who took the kids to water parks and movies and things like that, Disneyland Dad. Since then, she says her daughter has become irrational, uncontrollable, and even attempted suicide to hurt her. Take a look.
I had my first suicide attempt in 2015 when I was only in 8th grade. I was in a really bad place, balancing school and my crazy home life. I took a bunch of Tylenol and I just passed out in class, and then an ambulance was called. My dad came and spent the night in the hospital with me. My mom didn't show up at the hospital at all.
My sister went to the hospital as I wasn't able to leave work. I honestly think she did it for attention, or to hurt me, or to make me feel bad.
It seems like my mom was mad at me for attempting, because she made comments that she was upset that she had to pay the ambulance bill. I had my second suicide attempt on August 2017 on my mom's birthday last year, because we had an argument. Neither of my parents came to the hospital.
That first time is the only time it was not there.
To this day, my mom still doesn't take it seriously. I told her her relationship with Craig was why I did it, and I recorded it all.
I tried to kill myself twice to that bought the house, and you're telling me no!
I myself have tried to commit suicide 3 times, related to the situation with Reagan and Craig.
After my dad's suicide attempt last year, I found a book of his suicide notes. And the last page was a big you to my mom and Craig, saying that they were the reason he did it. I hope the kids realize that you two are the main reason I'm no longer here. Hope it makes your lives easier. You two losers were made for each other. You, Craig. Die slowly and painfully and go to hell for literally eternity. You're such a user. I wanted to punch Craig in the face right then and there.
If Steve truly wanted to kill himself, he would have killed himself. There are ways to make sure it happens, and anything less is a cry for attention.
That's messed up.
Messed up that he left a note for you guys to find. That's messed up.
He didn't leave it for us to find. He left a note there that he had crumpled up on the desk, and it said to look for a book under his mattress, and I found that when he wasn't there. He had no idea until now that he literally...
He needs to accept or get some help or something.
You need to get some help. Oh my gosh.
Obviously, if I was a happy person, I wouldn't want to hurt myself.
You can't tell someone their feelings aren't real.
You can't tell
like,
them.
I understand that.
Then why do you do it? Why do you do? I literally had video of you saying, no, that's not true. First of all,
because you keep changing what you're saying is the reason.
Stories keep changing.
I've never changed my story. Oh my
God. The night of your second suicide attempt there, you were on the phone with your dad, screaming and yelling at your dad, and upset with him. And then
do you remember me sitting upstairs in the living room, bawling my eyes out?
We come near you and you just lose it. We stay away from you. Because we never know what's going to come out, what's going to happen, who Maya is today. One day you're such a nice girl.
If I were you, I would stay away from me too. I hate your guts.
Some days you ask me, can you give me a ride? Can you do this for me? I need
a break. So just because I hate your guts doesn't mean I don't want to use you every now and then. Like,
when Maya was in the hospital, you said you couldn't go because you were at work.
I was at work.
So you weren't able to leave for your own daughter?
No, seriously, if you work somewhere that if you went into your bank manager and said...
I was the manager.
I was there for 2 days.
You don't really, so leaving because your child attempted suicide is not a good
You could have came at night after work. I was there overnight.
Your sister left.
Did you go after you locked up the bank for the day?
No, she didn't.
I'm asking her. I don't need your help.
No, I don't believe that time I went.
They were told
so when you said you couldn't go because you...
told not to go.
Who told you not to go?
The doctors.
Okay, so you're letting the doctors tell you as a mother you can't go see your child that has attempted to take her life?
Yes.
I tell you, you couldn't make this stuff up.
No.
You are wrong.
Seriously, let's take a break. Reagan and Steve say Maya smokes marijuana, has tried cocaine and Molly, and has even overdosed on alcohol. Yes. Well, we're going to find out who has even helped Maya purchase alcohol. We'll be right back.
Every adult in my family does drugs, but I'm the problem. My mom steals all my pipes and bongs. Craig has even done a lot of coke with my friends at a party we had at our house.
That never happened. Alcohol is one thing, cocaine is a whole other story.
I smoked weed with my dad, and it was weird.
In 2013, Steve and his family called CPS on me and accused me of abusing the children.
Steve has told the kids that Craig is a pedophile, and it's not true.
I was blown away. He knows I love those children. After CPS investigated, they found there was no misdoing. I definitely feel that Steve plays a part in the kids hating me. He doesn't want to move on.
Steve also claims I'm a full-blown alcoholic, and it's not true.
Well, Reagan says she's fed up with her 17-year-old daughter's destructive behavior. She says Maya is violent, is now addicted to smoking marijuana and other drugs, and parties all night long. But Maya says she's not the only one abusing drugs and alcohol. Take a look.
My parents smoke pot, my dad smokes pot, my mom smokes pot, and like so do I, but so what? Like they do too. Huge hypocrites. My mom steals all my pipes and bongs, and then she acts like she doesn't do it, and she literally uses them and gives them to her friends. I'm not even kidding. I've done coke and molly, and I rarely drink alcohol. I started smoking weed in 8th grade. Last week, I smoked weed with my dad, and it was weird.
I allow Maya to smoke marijuana because it calms her down. Otherwise, she'll start throwing things and screaming.
Maya and her sister had a party at the house. Reagan and I provided alcohol for them. We would rather them be drinking at home than to be out at parties getting wasted.
My mom drinks a lot, and she gets really mad when she's drunk. Craig has even done a lot of coke with my friends at a party we had at our house.
That never happened. Alcohol is one thing, cocaine is a whole other story.
I told my mom about that, and she, of course, doesn't believe it because he denied it. Every adult in my family does drugs, but I'm the problem.
Are you drinking too much?
Too much, no. I will drink, yes, but I also work 7 days a week. If I was drinking too much, how am I holding down 2 jobs, working every day?
I don't know.
We all know that you're an alcoholic or you're a mean drunk.
I
mean,
you are a very mean drunk. Oh
I can tell when I'm talking to you.
What are you talking about?
You're literally an alcoholic. Like, why do you deny it?
How do you think a child accommodates to this in their head?
Well, obviously, she's probably pretty messed up from it, and that's my fault. I totally agree with that. That's my fault. And I've offered to take her to counseling, and she refuses to talk to anybody. I'm surprised she's talking to you. You're the only one she'll talk to.
You're saying you called counselors, you called CPS, you called the cops. When do you call Reagan? When do you step into the lurch and say, I'm the mother, I'm the one that put my urges and my emotions at the forefront and caught her in the crossfire. And you've allowed that to happen, and you've done nothing to take her out of the middle. And you want other people to raise your daughter, you want other people to step in and tell her she shouldn't be upset or frustrated. And you say she's just this suicide attempt, and it bothers me that you people talk about suicide attempts like you're ordering lunch. Like, well, when I did this suicide attempt, when I did that suicide attempt, when I did this suicide attempt, that's just not okay with me. But you say it's a cry for help. That's a pretty desperate cry for help, and you don't even show up. You say, well, the doctor told me not to. The doctor doesn't raise your daughter, you do. You said something in your videotape that I thought was interesting. Play it back, please.
If Dr. Phil tells me that my being in the home is not in the best interest for the kids, then I have to leave.
Well, I'll respond to that right after the break.
My mom blames me for my brother not talking to her anymore. He hasn't talked to her in months, but she doesn't get her part in this. None of my siblings like Craig. My ultimatum for my mom is it's either your 4 children or your boyfriend. Pick a side.
Well, Reagan says she loves Maya to pieces, and the only reason Maya thinks she hates her is because she chose Craig. You have 4 children?
4.
Mm-hmm. One of them is a son.
Yes.
15?
Correct.
He had something to say about this as well, and here's a statement from him. Quote, Craig is arrogant and trying to act like my dad. My mom is definitely choosing her relationship with Craig over a relationship with me. I feel abandoned. I don't see my relationship with my mom changing too much, even if she gets rid of Craig, because the damage is done.
So this was, my son gave me an ultimatum in October, right after his birthday, either Craig or the kids. However, right before that, we all went camping in August.
Me and that boy, we spent a lot of time. The last 4 years, I take him, we've gone kayaking, motocross. There's never been an inclination that he's not accepted, but he hates me. He doesn't hate me. He's never hated me until Maya said it's Craig or me. And then it was like, how can you take Craig over your kids?
I said earlier that I would respond to something Craig said on tape. Let's listen to that again.
If Dr. Phil tells me that my being in the home is not in the best interest for the kids, then I have to leave.
Your being in the home is not in the best interest of the kids. I am not saying that you two cannot or should not ultimately get married and be together for 50 years. I don't know. But you being in this home right now is in the role of an interloper. There is unfinished emotional business between you and your children. There is unfinished emotional business between you and your ex-husband. When you get a divorce, you don't get rid of problems. You just change one set of problems for a new set of problems, and you haven't dealt with that yet. But you are a mother.
Yes.
And you need to be a mother before you do anything else, because that was your role before you got into this role. You need to finish that business. Now, does that mean you need to deny yourself any happiness? Does that mean that you need to deny yourself a life? Does that mean you need to deny yourself any of the things that you want in your own life? Well, that's a paper tiger you set up so you can tear it down and play the victim. No, it doesn't mean that at all. It just means that you behave in a mature fashion. The most powerful role model in any child's life is the same-sexed parent. What are you modeling for this child? You owe it to yourself and your family to establish this relationship, to reestablish this family relationship before you start this one. I don't think you broke this relationship up. I think you destroyed this relationship by being a drug addict and failing to step up, man up, and do what you had to do to be a father and lead this family. So where's the family go from here? I'll tell you when we come back. Well, this ain't the Brady Bunch. I'm back with Reagan and her daughter Maya, her father Steve, and interloper Uncle Craig. Craig, really, I don't think this is about you. I think it's about you. And if you want to do the right thing and to be a responsible mother, then you need to step up and reestablish your relationship with your daughter. And you said if I thought it was a problem, you would be gone. I don't think it's a problem. I know it's a problem. And then if you two want to date and build a relationship, then that's fine. But I'm just telling you that needs to happen. And you two, it is not too late to forgive and hit the reset button and start over. You want to have a relationship with your mother. And you need to do everything you can to support a healthy relationship between all of your children and their mother. And you cannot do that by bad-mouthing her, putting her down, undermining her in any way, or staying high all the time. You need to get yourself straightened up, man up, get on your feet, get a job, have some dignity, do the things you need to do to get a grip on life so you're there for these kids and not emotionally bankrupt. And I will help you do that.
Thank you.
I will help you to do that. And I am willing to get professionals involved in this to map this out from a family standpoint so you two can co-parent. And he needs to learn how to bring something to the table instead of just being a drug addict all the time. And you need to hit the reset button and mend this relationship and start working forward. And this thing can cure up in a really amazingly short period of time if you will just make those choices. Are you willing to do this?
Oh, of course.
Are you willing to work with her? If I get you guys a counselor so this family can work together, are you willing to do that?
Oh, of course, but judging by the look on her face, she's not.
Me and my siblings, we've literally told you before that you can have a relationship with him if he's not in our house. Like, just get him out of the house. Do it behind our backs. Because, no, not like that. I'm just saying, like, I get that you've been together for years now, so it'd be hard to break up. But we've been telling you, you can just leave the house. Like, don't live in our house. It's our house, not yours.
And the way this thing started, that is a reasonable request for the short term.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
fair enough. All right, I want to thank all of my guests today. For more information about today's show, log on to drphil.com. We'll see you next time.